Why drive this summer when you can take the CTA? Take it to explore a new neighborhood.
People smile a lot in Evanston.
Enjoy a smooth ride and a safe one.
As the train's running, we're on it.
And do something good for the environment.
We're trying to cut ozone levels down so that we all breathe a little easier.
Make your connections aboard the CTA. Glad you've joined us. I'm Dale Rivera. Welcome to Connections. Our adventure begins on Lakeshore Drive, where service will soon be better than ever. We'll head north using public transit to help protect the environment on our way to a place everyone should visit. Our destination? Evanston. Then back south for a smooth ride aboard the rails with the Chicago Police Public Transportation section in tow. On our way to our final stop, Soldier Field, where football season will soon return to brand new surroundings. We begin our tour around town enjoying Chicago's lakefront. And one hot spot just steps from here that's great for people watching, eating, running. Whatever you like to do in the summertime, you can do it in Lincoln Park. It's our first stop. Just north of downtown lies the oasis of Lincoln Park. And no matter what you like to do, there's something for everyone at Chicago's largest park.
We've got 6 beaches, 1,200 acres, two museums, a conservatory, we've got 2 dog-friendly areas, an archery range, 2 bird sanctuaries, historic landscapes galore. So it's really a fabulous jewel right here in the lakefront.
Lincoln Park wasn't always a park. In fact, back in 1837, this land of marshes and sand dunes was designated as Cemetery Park. As Chicago sprawled north, however, the graves were removed and the cemetery was converted into Lake Park. Today, the only remaining grave in the park is that of hotel keeper Ira Couch. The park that we see today became known as Lincoln Park just after President Abraham Lincoln's assassination. The standing Lincoln statue is just behind the Chicago Historical Society and was recently granted historic landmark status. In total, there are 20 statues in Lincoln Park, including the Grant Memorial, Benjamin Franklin, and Hans Christian Andersen, to name a few. On any day of the week, you're bound to see Chicagoans running, biking, walking, or just relaxing in Lincoln Park. But there are other reasons to come here. The Lincoln Park Zoo is the oldest free zoo in the country. It all began in 1868 with a gift of swans from New York City.
I think Lincoln Park is special because of the intimate feeling that you get when you're a visitor here. We really try very hard to make it possible, especially for kids, to get nose to nose, hand to paw with some of the animals.
There are more than 1,000 animals at Lincoln Park Zoo. The latest attraction is the Regenstein African Journey, which takes you on an urban safari with the largest and smallest animals of Africa. Of course, Lincoln Park Zoo still has its old-time favorites.
Our sea lion pool has been a hit for generations of Chicagoans. It's our oldest exhibit. It's over 100 years old. When they come to the zoo, it's meet me at the sea lion pool.
The baby swans, or cygnets, are pretty cute too. And they're a little reminder of the zoo's humble beginning. Another reminder is in the pond just outside the zoo. Here you can see huge swans, but they're the kind that you paddle around. If you want to see more real animals, check out the Farm in the Zoo. Inside the recently renovated complex, city slickers learn all about life on a farm, even the basics on milking a cow. Not far off sits another Lincoln Park landmark, the conservatory. Built in 1893, it's a peaceful spot where you can take a stroll through plants and flowers from around the world. Around the corner from the conservatory, you'll find the recently renovated Alfred Caldwell Lily Pool. named after one of Chicago's famous landscape architects.
You can't even believe you're in the city. You just become engulfed in the landscape. And the historic pavilion has been restored, so it's an open landscape with, sun dimples and winding paths.
You can't take in the nature of Lincoln Park without visiting the Peggy Notebart Nature Museum. Here, the Butterfly Haven attracts visitors of all ages. Don't forget to visit the museum's new greenhouse, which is, by the way, a greenhouse full of science experiments. Whether you're planning to spend the day in Lincoln Park or just a few hours, an easy way to get here is on the CTA. Buses run right through the park, and there are L trains nearby. Here, check them out. Remember, when you want to escape city life, Lincoln Park is just a CTA ride away.
There are many reasons to use public transportation: the ease, the low cost, the convenience, but it's also a responsible thing to do if you're interested in protecting the environment.
When the heat is on in Chicago, there's something we should all think about besides keeping cool. It's called ozone, a mixture of pollutants and high temperatures that can spell danger for people with respiratory problems.
Ozone is a caustic gas, so when you actually breathe it in, it irritates your lung and throat tissues, leading to coughing and wheezing. And for people with asthma and other lung diseases especially, it's really dangerous because it can actually put them in the hospital.
When you get up over 90, that's a particularly critical range of temperature for ozone to be generated. And by people taking certain steps in their daily activity, they can reduce the amount of emissions that are generated and reduce the amount of ozone.
The best thing you can do to reduce ozone is not drive your car, especially when the city of Chicago announces an Ozone Action Day.
And that's one of the steps that the city recommends for Ozone Action Days is ride public transit.
Besides taking the CTA, there are other things you can do, like fill your car with gas after 7 p.m., avoid using gas-powered equipment like outboard motors or lawnmowers, and conserve energy at home.
In general, we're trying to cut the ingredients so that we cut ozone levels down so that we all breathe a little easier. So that includes things like asking people to not drive if they don't have to use public transportation like CTA.
The CTA isn't just letting customers know about the harmful effects of ozone. CTA employees are also put on full alert.
Frank Cruzy, our president, is environmentally oriented and wants CTA to be a leader in the city and in the nation as a transit agency in doing things that are beneficial to the environment.
Each day, more than 1 million people ride CTA buses alone. And that means a lot fewer cars on the roads on Ozone Action Days.
CTA is inherently friendly and environmentally friendly and goes a long way to reducing ozone in the city.
Two-thirds of CTA customers use buses to get around. For customers of Lakeshore Drive routes, some service improvements will give your trip a boost, helping to keep your travel plans on track.
Changes are on the horizon for buses heading up, down, and around Lakeshore Drive. If you use the CTA to commute on North and South Lakeshore Drive, the CTA has new ways you can express yourself. Starting August 31st, a number of new routes and improvements to existing routes will take effect. The end result will be more direct service and faster trips going downtown and back.
We're improving them by providing more frequent service. We're providing better routes, spreading the routes out more, getting the buses onto Lakeshore Drive sooner in staged ways so that people have a shorter trip. So this is really the kind of improvements that our customers will really, really like.
Growth in neighborhoods along Lakeshore Drive means more demand for service. The CTA is meeting this need with new routes designed to get you there faster with fewer stops. In a word, express. The changes were made as a result of feedback from customers.
So during peak hours, express buses are great.
Bus routes along Lakeshore Drive serve 15% of all CTA bus customers each weekday. For the next 6 months, the CTA will test these service enhancements to make sure they are doing what they were designed to do: improve travel for customers. Now, here's a look at the routes where you'll see improvements. So don't forget to express yourself when traveling downtown. It's the fastest way to get there and back. Route improvements have also been made farther north, which is good news for customers in Evanston, Skokie, and West Rogers Park. Bus routes in Evanston had not been changed for 30 years until this June, when the CTA added new routes and adjusted others to handle the growth of the community.
You've got a tremendous amount of new residents, of new businesses and commercial activity being all built along the rail and bus corridors. And so if there was ever a time when we redesigned the bus routes to meet the needs of both the new and existing residents, this is really it.
Here's a look at those route improvements. New industrial and commercial developments have attracted workers and shoppers from neighboring communities, and the CTA's new routes are designed to get you there.
Part of what we've got to be able to do is provide convenient rides. If we can't provide rides to places that people want to go, at times they want to go, in a way that's cost-effective and convenient for them, we're not going to get customers. It's that simple.
The new routes also provide better connections between CTA buses and trains, as well as Pace and Metro. The CTA's goal is always to provide service that meets the needs of the community, whether it's downtown Evanston or downtown Chicago.
We're convinced that when we provide a service that is more convenient for people, easier to use, easier to understand, that it will increase ridership, because that's what we're about.
We're about to get on the red line, heading to Chicago's North Shore. A lot of people don't realize that the CTA serves 40 suburbs, including one known for its history, diversity, and charm. Our destination? Evanston.
If you have a day to play, head north on the CTA, of course, 13 miles from the Loop to the city of Evanston.
I think there's a great quality of life here. People smile a lot in Evanston.
You'll smile the moment you arrive in this historic suburb. It's been around since 1836. That's when the first settlers discovered it. Today, Evanston is home to almost 75,000 residents, and it's a community that hasn't forgotten its roots.
Everyone knows that Evanston is a great destination for one thing in particular: it's beautiful homes. But this particular home is special. Tell us about it.
This home is special for several reasons. For one thing, it was the home of Charles Gates Dawes. He was Vice President of the United States, and he was a Nobel Peace Prize winner. So he's a famous Evanstonian.
Charles Gates Dawes served as Vice President to Calvin Coolidge. The home is preserved as it was when Mr. Dawes lived here in the late 1920s and early 30s. The style? Simply grand.
We have 5 Tiffany lamps in the library, And we also have a Tiffany chandelier in the dining room. There are also different architectural styles in many of the rooms. This room is very French and light in its feel. If you go into the library or into the dining room, it's very German and very heavy in their feel.
The Dawes House is a National Historic Landmark and home to the Evanston Historical Society. Stop in for a guided tour. It's only $5, $3 for seniors and kids. You'll see many old homes in Evanston, but be sure to get a close look at this one. Another Evanston landmark, the Francis Willard House. In classic Gothic Revival style, it was built in 1865 by the father of a famous Evanston reformer, Francis Willard, a leader in the women's suffrage movement. She also once headed a college for women here, which later merged with another famous school, Northwestern University. That's right, this is the home of the Wildcats. Northwestern has more than 13,000 students, studying everything from business and law to art.
We are outside the Marion Lee Block Museum of Art. Deborah, tell us a little bit about this sculpture garden, this beautiful sculpture garden, and how it came to be and what's on it.
Okay. The Sculpture Garden opened its doors officially in 1989 with 8 large outdoor bronzes donated by Lee B. Block.
The sculptures are the works of some famous modern artists like Barbara Hepworth and Jean Miro.
This is a work by Jean Miro called Constellation, and is rather unique in that it's one of the pieces that actually turns, revealing a completely different side and texture.
Strolling and admiring is free and open to the public.
Anyone can come on Northwestern's campus to view the garden anytime they want, but we do have free tours at 3 o'clock on Saturdays and Sundays given by our docents. And if you'd like to, if a large group wants to come and you'd like to call and arrange a tour, we can certainly do that as well.
Don't leave Northwestern's campus until you take a look at another beautiful garden, the Shakespeare Garden. Secretly nestled in a central section of the campus, the 88-year-old garden was designed by Jens Jensen, a landscape architect who also designed many Chicago parks. You'll enjoy more than 50 varieties of plants, including many original hawthorns that were started from seed in France. Jens Jensen's designs are also found on the grounds of the Evanston Art Center. Inside these doors, creativity is in full bloom.
The Evanston community is a really vibrant community, very supportive of the arts, and the Evanston Art Center is a big part of that.
This community art center features a school for over 1,000 art students each term, featuring many disciplines from painting to ceramics. There are also arts programs here for youngsters. If your child prefers the outdoors, check out the Access to Fishing program at Lovelace Park.
The Access to Fishing program is a cooperative program between the Evanston Ecology Center, which is part of the City of Evanston, and the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. It is open to anyone 15 and under because they don't need a license. But if you have a license and you're 16 and over, you can always come and fish as well.
I got $1 for anyone who catches anything.
Every Saturday morning this summer from 9 to noon, you can learn to fish for free. They'll even provide the pole, the bait, and the expertise.
Come on, get it, get it!
The pond is well stocked with a variety of fish like bluegill, sunfish, and koi.
What do the kids do, say, if they catch a fish? Do they throw them back? Or
Yes, ours is more a catch and release program, and that is, again, that's the Department of Natural Resources stance on fishing.
I pay my debts.
What we try to teach is responsible use of the natural resources that we have. And so part of that is catch and release.
Want to say bye? Bye!
The easiest way to get to Evanston? On the CTA. Here's how to get here using public transportation. So explore Evanston and let the CTA get you there.
about halfway through our route, heading to our final stop, Soldier Field. Now, every time you step on a CTA train, you can rest assured that the CTA is doing everything it can to make your trip safe and comfortable. One of the ways is through a process called rail grinding, designed to keep you on the move.
Riding the rails of the CTA, you might not think about track maintenance until you see this machine. It's called a rail grinder, and the CTA uses it to keep up its 222.6 miles of track.
Rail grinding is a process where we shape the running rail. The purpose of ensuring a good, steady shape of the running rail is to ensure a quality, comfortable, safe ride for our rail customers.
Rail grinding most often takes place in the middle of the night when there is less traffic on the tracks. Workers spend about a week on one section of track, passing over it again and again until it's completely smooth. To remove corrugations or waves out of the rail, the grinder pushes down with 1,000 pounds of force.
The bricks are lowered onto the rail head, and it goes down the rail, and it takes the corrugations out of the rail head.
The bricks that grind the rail are made of a special material, sort of like graphite. The friction between the bricks and rail causes sparks, so as a safety measure, the CTA runs a water car behind the grinder.
If there's any sparks that cause a fire, the water car will put the fire out before it becomes a problem.
An added benefit of rail grinding is that a smoother track is less noisy.
The uniform profile of the running rail allows it to fit in better with the steel wheel on the train. The better the fit, the less friction there is, thus the less noise.
The CTA bought its rail grinder about 8 years ago, and ever since it's been a smoother ride on the tracks.
That's our goal, is to make it a much nicer ride.
The CTA provides 1.5 million rides every day, and on occasion, someone, somewhere, is bound to lose something. But if it ever happens to you, there's a good chance you can get it back, with a little basic training. CTA driver Brian Winters is what you call a modern-day hero. Last February, a customer left his wallet on the number 4 bus Brian was driving. Inside was a business card belonging to the wallet's owner, so the owner was notified.
I didn't think it'd be that easy. I thought I'd be canceling everything.
I think he thought the wallet was gone forever. He had a lot of important information in it, so he's real excited.
The CTA always works to reunite customers with their belongings, especially since thousands of items are found on the trains and buses each year.
During the winter, it's primarily scarves, hats, and gloves. During the fall, it's mainly umbrellas, and all the way through the course of the entire year, it's eyeglasses.
Of course, there's a variety of items that are found on the CTA.
We have actually found people's dentures on the trains, as well as laptop computers, cell phones, articles of clothing, book bags. Any items that you might carry on a train, people are apt to leave behind.
Items found on CTA buses or trains are first brought to the Lost and Found office at the nearest bus station or train terminal. Here, CTA staff will try to find the item's owner.
If there's no phone number available and there's an address available, we'll actually mail a postcard to the residence or business address that we find.
But the best advice is to keep track of your personal belongings when traveling on the CTA. If you think you've lost something on the CTA, the first thing you should do is call the CTA's customer service line at 1-888-YOUR-CTA. Remember, employees like Brian will do their best to help you find lost items.
You'd hope that the guy driving your bus would be a guy of character, and he was.
When riding the CTA, it's important to know that people are looking out for CTA customers, and not just to return lost personal items, but to make sure everyone follows rules and regulations every time someone steps on board.
Megan Payne commutes to work on the CTA. She says she feels safe on the train, especially knowing Chicago police officers are riding along with her.
It's really nice to know that they are there, especially plainclothes that you don't even know.
That's right. On CTA buses and trains, there are officers in uniform and officers undercover.
They work securing the buses and the trains 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Commander Ed Gross heads up the public transportation section of the Chicago Police Department, which means he's in charge of the officers that secure the buses and trains, officers that are looking out for your safety. Of course, their goal is to prevent a crime from occurring.
We try to teach you to look out for your valuables. You know, you might have an officer coming up to you and asking you to close your purse or to zip your backpack up. That's because we know what the thieves are looking at and we want to prevent your loss from you.
Chicago's buses are monitored by transit detail units. Officers may board buses while others may follow in cars. On trains, officers travel in groups of 2, moving from car to car and train to train. On trains and on buses, officers issue tickets for rules violations such as eating and smoking to more serious offenses when necessary. Don't forget, undercover officers are also on the CTA.
They're masters of disguises. Every day is Halloween for us, and the officers that do that job really enjoy it to the maximum.
Public transportation officers go through extensive training on CTA safety and security. They know what to do in case of an emergency, and they're always on the lookout for anyone or anything suspicious.
One thing that the officers do is they check for suspicious packages that might be laying around at different platforms or stations or on buses.
There are also things you can do to play it safe on the CTA, like keep a close eye on your valuables and be aware of your surroundings.
If you do get on a train, car, and you're the only one there and another person gets on the train and it looks very suspicious, get up and get off. Wait for the next train.
Remember, if you see something suspicious, report it to a CTA employee or a public transportation officer. And feel free to ask for assistance. Someone is always there to help.
If the train's running, we're on it.
If you're a football fan, you're probably gearing up for the Bears' new season in new surroundings. Soldier Field reopens this fall. And if you're heading to a game, be sure to take the CTA.
The Bears are back, and fans get ready. Soldier Field is going to be better than ever.
And we've been able to build a state-of-the-art stadium for the people of Chicago inside the landmark colonnades and facade of Old Soldier Field. So we're excited, and just seeing green grass back here is really a kick for the about 1,000 workers that are still working on the project right now.
Remember, the CTA can get you to Soldier Field without all the hassles of driving. Here's a look at the home schedule for the regular season. Get out and enjoy the games. And remember to ride the CTA.
We'll meet you right back here at Soldier Field next month for the start of another Connections adventure around Chicagoland. Until then, I'm Dale Rivera. Thanks for watching Connections.
For more information about the CTA or to use the RTA's trip planner, visit our website at www.transitchicago.com. Or for customer service matters, call 1-888-YOUR-CTA. And for travel information, call the RTA at 836-7000 from anywhere in the Chicago area.